Hello and welcome to this unboxing video of 4 different versions of IndyCar Racing that was later released as kart racing. IndyCar basically split in two in 1996, and that obviously affected this title. You can see there's the 95, 96, 97, which is unopened, and 98 releases here. And I'm just going to take you through, show you the differences between the boxes. You can see the date there, 95. It doesn't say on this side, but that's 96. This is 97. And this is the 1998 release. So looking at the box art, you can see an extra layer of billboards right at the back. You can see that they've changed the car in the background from blue to red for the second release, but other than that, everything's pretty much the same with the photograph that they used. So switching over to kart racing now, you can see the helmet has changed colour. They've changed this from Pennzoil to Papyrus on the I think that's the Gilda Ferran car. I think the one in the front was Robbie Gordon, but other than that, you know, there's not a lot of big changes there. So anyway, let's look at this original release. The difference is mainly that you'll find with IndyCar Racing 2 is that you have the DOS version, you have the Windows version, and you have versions that would work with the rendition video cards and versions that would not. Basically, there is actually one version that was released that had the rendition logo on the box, but was not actually rendition ready. But I actually don't have that version. So looking at the screenshots and things here, it's turn this over so you can read the text on the bottom. Obviously pause to read any of this text. It should be high enough resolution for you to do that. One thing that's interesting with the licensing text, while I start to look through the box here, is that the licensing is that Papyrus had was from kart, and you can see it written around the side of the CD here. It says that IndyCar is a trademark of Indianapolis Motor Speedway Corporation under exclusive license to kart. So basically, if Papyrus licensed from kart and then IndyCar pulled, or the Indianapolis Motor Speedway pulled the plug, which they did, then Papyrus loses the licensing regardless of whether they had it through kart or not. So that's why the later version was called kart racing. So with this first version here, I am going to assume that the other versions have the same paperwork and instructions inside. So I'm going to look really closely through this first version, if I can turn the page. And then later versions, if it looks like it's the same thing, I'll just skip over it and say that it's the same as I saw earlier. Obviously, you would have to get this thing working in DOS, which I still prefer. Never really liked the Windows version. It just essentially replaced the UI, which I actually preferred the more graphical version that was in the DOS version. Yeah, I mean, this is all fairly standard stuff. You, as I recall, I never really ran this in Windows at all because I didn't have enough system memory. So I used to, even though I had Windows, I used to go into DOS to run IndyCar Racing 2 because it would give me the extra memory that Windows then wasn't using. Here's the keyboard chart, and here's actually the line that you can see because Virgin Interactive used to ship all their manuals and everything in an envelope, which you can see in the IndyCar Racing 1 unboxing video that I've already posted. But I don't have the envelope anymore, obviously. There's the manual now, and like I said, I'll look through this manual pretty closely. You can download this from racingcentral.net. under the files section. I'll have a PDF there, but yeah, I'm going to look through this pretty closely here, and then in later versions, which again I assume are going to be pretty much exactly the same, I'll just kind of skip over it. So generally it's been talking about the cockpit so far, and these are the in-race, in-cockpit adjustments that you could make, such as brake bias, which was really quite incredible at that point, that you could make these setup changes while driving. It's something that has really only just come back into style with a lot of modern simulations. I like the way that they're calling the overlays that have the lap time and the positions up at the top right, that they're calling that your radio system. Because, you know, effectively that's what it is. It's the information that you might expect to get from the pit lane or from your crew chief or whatever. That's the same page, okay. Thought I'd missed a page. Obviously there's a full array of setup changes, a nice explanation of the flags, the replay system, and here we go with the race modes. Championship season, pre-season testing, which is obviously just a practice session, multiplayer racing, which I never actually did with IndyCar Racing 2. I did it with I think maybe NASCAR Racing 2 first of all. I used to call the United States, and I had a £700 plus phone bill 1 month using NROS. Controller options. Sound options. Driving aids, which I think are very important to have in a simulation, honestly. You've got to increase your sales as much as you can, and having easier options for people that need that, and being able to turn those easier options off for people that don't want them is all important. It's just amazing to me, like how much information is in these old manuals, which still applies today. You know, car setup is car setup, and how, you know, back in the day we got this information as a part of the product, and it just seems like now we need to completely rely on things like YouTube, or there's a tool that just got released, a setup tool, which you can buy up. Like, you can buy this thing on Steam, and it'll basically tell you how to adjust the car setup depending on what you tell it, what kind of problem you're having. You can see the track list there on the left-hand side. Noticeably, being based on the 1995 season, this is missing Indianapolis, and the expectation there is that it was going to come as a track pack, like a singular track pack, in the exact same way that it did with IndyCar Racing 1. Now, IndyCar Racing 2 did include all of the other tracks with it, and the kind of train of thought there is that they ended up putting all the tracks with it because they knew that they weren't going to get Indy, and it increased the value enough to have all of the tracks in there to basically downplay the fact that Indy wasn't going to be included. The community pretty quickly converted the IndyCar Racing 1 Indy to IndyCar Racing 2, and then you got ones that were converted from NASCAR 3 and things like that, which were slightly better quality. But yeah, it was unfortunate that Indy didn't make it. And it's interesting too. There is actually a trailer, a promo video from 1995 that I've got on the channel here, and it does actually show Indianapolis for IndyCar Racing 2. So at some point they were planning on having it in there for sure. Surface Paradise. They totally should be racing in Surface Paradise today. Again. And Toronto. So here's something else which is missing from a lot of modern titles is the basics of driving. You know, it's easy to say that that people don't need this, but I think they really, really do. You know, you've only got to watch a Ferrari GT3 race on iRacing to just to see that people need to learn how to drive. Going through the paint kit now, which was a pretty massive thing at that point. It was an add-on, I think, for IndyCar Racing 1, but included with IndyCar Racing 2, if I recall. There's an index on the right. Could just easily find whatever you were looking for through that. And here's the credits. See if I recognize any names. There's Matt Sentel, who is the first name I think that comes up with Grand Prix Legends. You've got Randy Cassidy and David Kamer from iRacing. I think that's it. That's all that I recognize anyway. I kind of recognize Julie Sparks, I'm not sure though. There's Richard Yazzie from lots of other Papyrus titles, and Steve always did the manuals, Steve Vandergriff. Legal info. Okay, so that is the DOS edition. So this is the Windows 95 edition. Show you the text on the bottom. Feel free to pause and read. Like I said, the art is pretty much the same, except for some reason they changed the car in the background from blue to red. And you can see the Windows 95 window being used there. Like I said, I didn't really like the Windows 95 UI. That's where the date is on this version. You can see it on the back, 1996. Oh, looking inside, I suspect most of this stuff will be exactly the same as the other one. Obviously, this is Sierra now. I think the DOS release was still under Virgin Interactive. The manual looks pretty much the same. The receipt for the actual purchase of the game. I'll show you this support information because that might be something that's changed. Credits look largely the same. Yeah, Yeah, you can just see it's obviously Sierra is the publisher now, not Virgin. Formula T2 advertisement, which is interesting. I have scanned this and uploaded this previously on Racing Central. If you go to the site and just search for Thrustmaster T2, it should actually bring up a page with a profile of that wheel. Technical information. Registration card. Yeah, you basically can get entered into a prize pool if you send this in. Keyboard reference guide, which looks exactly the same to me, it just looks like it's been printed in a little higher quality. This reference, obviously it includes Windows 95 now, not just DOS based. Yeah, there's a Mac version as well. And the CD, which obviously again is branded Sierra. Advertising Baseball Pro 96 and NASCAR Racing on the rear. Kind of interesting that NASCAR Racing 2 isn't advertised at this point. Version 1.1 it says. Very possible that 1.0 was the DOS version. So this is the first version of kart racing that I have. It's got the red car at the back. It's got the things that you saw in the previous version where the helmet was changed. All that good stuff. System requirements. Looks like that's a different screenshot. Yeah, it says rendition ready there. Interesting. I kind of wonder if there's going to be any mention of IndyCar racing accidentally within this thing. Open this up. Oh, looks like they've sealed it at either end. Yeah. Yep, really don't want me to open this, do they? Okay, there we go. Okay, so that Sierra registration on the top looks exactly the same. This is new. This is $10 rebate on kart racing. Rebate is so ridiculous. Anyway, you've got to send it in by March 1998. So, fortunately, I'm not going to make it. Looks like the manual's the same, but what's new is the guide there. And obviously there's some changes with the CD as well. Let's have a look at this. Same box art. Advertising NASCAR Racing 1 still on the back. And this is 1997. Yeah, 1996, 1997, Sierra Online. Kind of crazy to me that they're still pushing NASCAR Racing 1. Seems kind of short-sighted of Sierra. Yeah, so the manual looks like it's going to be the same, except from that mention of the Mac version not actually being included. Now, I feel like they've probably just gone through and done a find and replace for every reference of IndyCar, kart car. The actual information looks exactly the same. They're even using the DOS screenshots, not Windows 95 Windows. Yeah. Okay, let's just have a look at the credits at the back then for information. Wow, that's different credits. And then obviously the Errors branding on the bottom. So what's interesting about this one is this guide here, which is written by Steve Smith, who's the same guy that did the four-wheel drift book that everybody loves, that was in Grand Prix Legends. Move the camera down here and I'll just take you through this book because I think it's a bit of a rarity. I'll make sure to show you especially the pages of this. Yeah, Doug Arneo, yeah. All these names I remember. Quite an extensive book. There's a lot of information in here. Oh, yeah. Look, kart racing and kart racing. There is an indication, if you ever need one, that they did a search and replace and missed that, I think. That probably said IndyCar and kart racing or something to that effect. And they just replaced IndyCar. I think this is something that I need to try to scan. I definitely want this to be available. And a quick search before I did this video, it actually, or before I edited this and stuff, it doesn't seem to be readily available. Not in PDF format. There is so much setup information here. Wow, okay. Jeff Krosnoff Memorial Fund. Jeff passed away at Toronto in 1996. This is almost like an index of everything that was mentioned. where to find it. Copyright information. Obviously those that left with cart are obviously still included. Anyway, yeah, I'll make sure that gets scanned and gets put up on Racing Central at some point. I don't think it's available anywhere on the internet right now. But let's have a look at this next one. This is 1998. This is the youngest one that I actually have. You can see they've managed to put that it was previously released as IndyCar Racing 2, so IndyCar at least allowed them to do that. Windows 95 version. I haven't seen a rendition logo yet. Oh, there we go. On the back, right there. And again, they're using the DOS screenshots, like the DOS UI. They're not using the Windows UI for these screenshots here. Those were the days. Alright, I suspect this one is exactly the same as the last one, pretty much. Yep. Down to a T, yeah. I think all of this is exactly the same. So it was literally rebranding efforts from Sierra to be able to resell the same game. Still advertising NASCAR Racing 1. What is wrong with them? This is, what, 98? But yeah, that all looks exactly the same. I'm going to do some more of these. Please subscribe so that you can get to see them first. I upload a little bit of everything, and I have a massive big box collection of just about everything. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.